A Build Hatch developed production.
Hello, I'm Aaron Kyle and welcome to another episode of Build Hatch. On this week's episode, you are going to hear the story of one of Melbourne's largest kitchen and bathroom renovation companies called GIA Renovations. I had a really nice sit-down chat with Illan, and one thing I took out of this episode is how sincere and genuine him and his company GIA is. He certainly loves his job and you can hear it in his voice from our discussion. I particularly enjoyed hearing the journey of how Illan and his dad grew and evolved their business from a very traditional business into how GIA is now today, complete with a showroom and a preferred partner with the big guns like Reece and other suppliers. This is a great story highlighting the journey of being very strategic as a building or design business and thinking about the journey from when an inquiry first comes in the door to taking that client all the way through along the journey and helping them through the scope of works from concept to completion and making their clients feel comfortable. This is Illan from GIA Renovations. Now let's get into it. Illan from GIA Bathrooms and Kitchens, welcome to Build Hatch.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So your role with GIA, you're sales and marketing manager?
Yeah. Well, I guess I do a bit of everything. I mean, that's my title, but my role is just running and making sure that everything operates well. We have our own design team and we also have a construction team. And I suppose I just try to oversee the design team, making sure that we're getting jobs coming in, and that the clients are having a good experience leading up to the job starting, and then overseeing the construction and just working with our construction team to make sure that we deliver the projects.
Before we hear more about GIA Bathrooms and Kitchens, we always like to go back to the beginning, where our guests grew up, what motivated them, what got them into construction. So whereabouts did you grow up?
I grew up not far from here, pretty much most of my life around the Elwood area, which is sort of Bayside here. Grew up in a lot of houses around there because my parents were constantly flipping homes, but always in that area.
So you come from that classic family upbringing of buying an old house, doing it up, selling it.
Yeah, so my dad's a builder, and for most of my childhood, he was sort of buy a block of land, get a permit for 2 townhouses, build them, live in one, sell the other. And so, I probably ended up living in, I think, 7 or 8 homes whilst I was growing up.
So did you know that you were always going to enter the construction industry from a young age?
Not really, to be honest, because my parents were constantly trying to talk me out of it. As I was at school, all I ever heard was lawyer or doctor. So they just sort of kept on telling me that, we'd like you to be a lawyer, a doctor or something, not a builder, because my dad was working pretty hard all the time. And I think I just wanted to...
It's a different kind of working hard, isn't it? I mean, all of those professions work hard, but the working hard in construction is this painstaking stress. So you have that emotional stress, and then you have the physical stress because if you're a builder, particularly flipping houses and things like that, you have that physical stress as well because you're working long days, sweating, hurting yourself, bending over, the whole works.
Yeah, exactly. And look, my dad, he's even to this day, he still works and he's on the tools basically. He's just old school, hard-working person. Like I admire it. I don't really know many people that work that hard. He's probably working right now and it's a sunny Saturday. So when I was young, he just took every minute he had to make use of it, and that would quite often lead to late nights. And he was working for himself. He's not getting a client to pay him money. He's flipping a house. So it's effectively the harder you work, the quicker you work, potentially you make a bit more money at the end, and you got to work hard to make sure you have a successful development.
You're trying to reduce that turnaround time from acquisition to sale.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So what was going to school like as a young kid?
It was good. Went to a private school not far from here. Didn't really like school, to be honest. Got in a lot of trouble all the time, but I had fun. It was nice to be around mates. You appreciate it even more now, looking back, how much fun it was just being at school with your best mates. I wasn't a particularly high achiever, just wasn't really interested in much of what I was doing. And I think that's also what became apparent when I finished up school and I got my marks, wasn't going to be a lawyer or a doctor. And we sort of just sat there and said, well, I genuinely enjoy construction and I'm interested in everything that, I grew up around labouring for my dad and working around sites and seeing it. So go down and study construction management instead of trying to be a lawyer or a doctor.
So did you have that conversation with your parents and say, look, I'd really like to do this and enter construction management?
Yeah. I mean, as soon as I'd finished school, I'd already been sort of working for my dad on the side, helping him out here and there. And I was just trying to learn as much as possible whilst I was working for him and sort of trying to help besides labouring with supervision. So I was doing any course I could find, like traffic management, scaffold, OHS, just everything and anything that related to construction that could kind of help him, because at the time he was doing apartment developments and I was trying to help out in that way. And so we just kind of were speaking about it and thought, that's really what I'm interested in. I've sort of got the marks to go and study it, and my parents investing in my childhood wanted me to go and get a degree. So I was like, all right, well,
it just all clicked and made sense.
So we went up and did construction management at RMIT.
What was that like? Great course?
It was good at times. I mean, we had to do a lot of varying subjects. Some of them felt like really irrelevant. Some felt more relevant.
I think from your perspective and understanding that background there, I reckon you would have found it frustrating because you enjoyed the practical side of the course. And I've done the same course as well. So I know the feeling where you're thriving for that practical get out on site experience, part of construction management.
Yeah. And I think because I had the opportunity to spend time on site really whenever I wanted to, I was kind of listening to these classes, especially when we did the construction ones, and I was like, I'd go to site and learn in a day what I could learn there for a month, because I just can't learn a lot of that stuff out of the textbook. But I mean, that was really helpful for me, because I'd come home and sit down with my dad sometimes, have to do an assignment and talking, they might be talking about concrete and this, and I had something really good that I could draw on. So yeah, I mean, I also had a couple of good mates that did the course with me, so I enjoyed it for that reason. And I ended up starting this business halfway through the course, and then I probably leaned on my mates quite a bit to get me through the remainder of the course.
Okay, so GIA Bathrooms and Kitchens, what's the background on that?
So look, I guess at the time when I was studying, I was also doing, I think, a telemarketing job that I wasn't particularly loving, just to make some money. And I think when my dad was younger, his first business was called Budget Bathrooms, so I knew he had been in the renovation space. And sort of, I guess I just was really keen to do something of my own rather than work for someone. And I sort of we got talking, and I just said to him, look, I'm going to put an ad in the paper for bathroom renovations, and if someone gets in touch, we'll see if we can do a job. And he was happy to, I said, look, I'll do all the paperwork that you wouldn't like to do anyway, and you just kind of, come help me quote, and, we'll run a few jobs together. And that was just sort of how it started. We just chucked an ad in the local paper, and soon enough we got a call in Elwood. I still remember the first job. It was 1 street away from where we were living at the time, and we went off and did a quote together.
That's great.
Very different experience to the way we run a job today.
And so that first job, it was a single bathroom, was it?
Yeah, tiny little apartment, lovely lady. We went in there. She told us what we wanted. We had a bit of a chat about what could be done. Nowadays we do a massive design process. Then we walked in, we pretty much with pencil drew up a plan on the wall and said, yeah, this is what we're doing. Sent out a quote the next day. And then we started not too long after, and I just sort of would stand there every day as the different trades came in, and sort of just oversee it. And yeah, she was lovely. She loved the job. She was super happy with everything, and it was a success.
Now, how did you, I guess, grow your business? So it was yourself and your father. So how did you sort of grow organically from there?
Yeah, look, I guess we started off just with advertising in the newspaper. At the start, we're probably getting maybe 1 job a month through that, and we weren't doing a huge amount of work, but at the same time I was studying and he had other stuff to do as well. And slowly, as I guess I was trying to chase more work, I'd start looking for other opportunities on how to get work. I've got a really close relationship today with, say, Reese Bathrooms. That's their products in our showroom. But then I would go around and just try and give my business card to them, give my business card to tile places, build a website. Anytime I wasn't spending on site, I was just kind of sitting there going, all right, what ways can I get more work in? We also didn't want to go and just start spending, thousands of dollars on marketing. I sort of wanted to, although I did want to grow it, I guess I was sort of mindful, like, do this in the right steps.
Growing organically.
Yeah.
Yeah. One step at a time, not going too big, too fast.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I mean, there was only so much I could also do, because it did get to a point where, we've got quite a few staff now, but it did get to a point where for a long time it was still just the two of us in the trades. He would help out by going to site and checking on things when he wasn't working on his own sites. But I was sort of running around all day to quotes nonstop. Then I still had to do those quotes. Then at night I'd be sitting there talking to him, trying to write out all the schedules manually for the different jobs, because we're doing small jobs. You end up running quite a lot of them. It's not like you just got one. So, and you're juggling the same trades through 5-10 jobs at times, and there's a fair bit of work that goes with it. So it got to a point where I realized, all right, if we wanted this to grow, I'm going to have to get some help in, and then started to get staff and grow it from there, really.
How do you take like a traditional background or a traditional experience and sort of modernize it into the way that you have now? Like you mentioned about marketing and things like that, and then bring on a staff member. How do you actually put those steps in motion and actually do that?
Well, look, it kind of organically evolved, because the first staff member that I got to help me was a designer, because the bathrooms, although there's a lot of design that goes into the bathroom, which I learnt from just doing lots of jobs, I didn't really know how to design kitchens, and there's quite a lot of functionality that clients want to discuss with you about kitchens. And I kind of had a really great cabinet maker that I was sort of forcing him to do the design for all the jobs I was winning. And he just got to the point, it's like, listen, I'm not a designer. You're going to have to get a designer. So I guess we just found like clients wanted us to do bathrooms, they wanted us to do kitchens, and they wanted help with design. And it just kind of organically evolved that we had this like design phase where we weren't just a builder. We would be offering a really great design, and that's what would get them excited, and they could see what they were going to get, and they would have this experience with us designing, and then they know what they're going to get, And so firstly, it's like a one-stop shop in a sense. It's not like you need to go and source an interior designer to do a bathroom, which in itself is sometimes difficult. They don't want to do such a small job, but you've got one person just overseeing the whole process from start to finish.
So did you outsource that in the beginning?
So the first person I had, my cabinet maker, had actually suggested her to me, and she used to work for another renovation company, and she was working like 3-4 days a week, I guess, as a contractor, but effectively, majority of the leads that were coming into us, she would go out and see them and talk to the clients, and then bring all the information back to me so that I could quote it up. So she was sort of the one that would win the work, and then I'd sort of get involved once we win it and start looking at the construction side.
So you'd actually almost reversed it around a bit. Sort of you became in-house and then used your consultant to go out there, liaise with the client, and then bring the work in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very clever.
I mean, I could only see so many people. I was still seeing a few jobs at the time, but I guess I was, when the call would come in, if it was someone that just wanted to really just want to rip the bathroom, put it back up the way it is because it's leaking, I'd go and, if they did need design in the end, that maybe she would go. But the ones that were really someone calling us up and saying, we want to do a huge kitchen renovation and we hate the style and we want to move walls and we want to do this, and I knew there was going to straight away be a design process, then she'd go out and do it.
So we're recording this in your Melbourne showroom, and I'm looking around and we're basically sitting in a kitchen, and we've got these amazing finishes around us, and I couldn't help notice, but there's a whole wall behind me dedicated to awards. So what sort of awards have you guys won?
Yeah, so we've got a few awards up there, combination of the HIA Awards and the KBDI, which is the Kitchen and Bathroom Design Institute Awards. Probably the two standouts are we've won the HIA Kitchen over 50K last year. This year...
Now that's a pretty good achievement, winning that one. So what was that for? Obviously a kitchen, but was it a house or? Yeah,
we did an extension in Elwood, which isn't too far from here. And basically it was like an old heritage home that we pretty much knocked off majority of the house, just left the 2 front bedrooms, did a rear extension and a first floor extension, and just it had great kitchen in there that the judges loved, and we got the prize for it.
That's an incredible effort.
Yeah.
It's not an easy award to win. There's a lot of competition.
Yeah, it is.
Now, what about this showroom? When did you decide that you needed to have a showroom?
I think we've been here for maybe 6 or 7 years, and yeah, it just felt like a natural progression. I was still living at home when I'd started the business, and I'd taken over another room in there as an office, which was just starting to get covered with things. And the more it was leading towards the design aspect as well as construction, like look at all these samples that we have here. We had to do too much running around with clients to other places rather than being able to say, here, we've got it all here, which just makes it easier. And also I think I was in the back of my head thinking, look, we're getting busier and busier. And I think it also gives clients a bit of a sense of security. Like we're not just some random trade in the newspaper that's going to disappear after they take your deposit, or, clients have hear a lot of horror stories. We've got a shop, we're not going to go anywhere.
Like you said, you mentioned trust there, and I think that's really important because you are right. Like people do feel a sense of trust when they walk into the showroom and you guys are here. You're not going away. They don't have to go looking for you. You're right here.
Yeah. So I think the trigger was we were made the call to do a display at one of the HIA like trade show, home shows that they do. And I thought, look, we're going to spend all this money setting up this display, spend all this time on the weekend there handing out our cards, and I can't even tell like people that we have a showroom, or where am I leading them to? My home office. I thought it was maybe it's not such a big deal, and I made it a bigger deal than it needed to be, but it was a good call. Like we took out the lease and we spent like 6 months renovating the place anyway. It wasn't even ready for people to come in when we did that show, but we had taken out the lease and we made the leap that we had to set this place up. So it used to be a mechanic. There was nothing here except for concrete and brick walls. So we had to fit it out. So it took us a little bit.
All right. So take me through the experience. If I want to come into GIA Bathrooms and Kitchens and walk through this showroom, what's the experience like?
Yeah, so usually a client will get in touch with us, phone, website, or walk in here and just basically say, we're looking to renovate. We then have an interior design team at the moment. There's 3 of them. One of them will take that lead, I guess, and go out to see them in their home first, just so they can have a bit of a chat about what it is that you want to do, see the space. It's a really generic, I guess, conversation at first, just to throw out some concepts and even some estimates about like what these things could be worth so that people understand.
That's a really good aspect, because if you're building something or renovating in a traditional sense where you've already had someone come in and design it, by having an interior designer that works here but can actually go out and visit those clients in their home and see what the current setting is, that allows them to actually have input into the design as well.
And look, our design team are really, I'd say that they're quite a knowledgeable team. They're not just designers. They understand the construction process really well. So they also, besides going out there and getting the clients excited about design and talking to them about that, they'll say, look, if you want to move this toilet from here to here and it's a concrete slab, it's not that simple. We've got to cut up the slab, and if you're looking to spend a minimal amount, that's probably not the best decision. Let's work out a way to keep the toilet here and get you what you want,
Yeah, that's great, having that practical input.
Yeah. So that they do understand the construction process really well, and they can talk to them about that. Basically that's the first step, and then we sort of go away and provide a detailed quotation and a concept plan that's just like a before and after.
So you'll put together like a CAD floor plan or elevation and be able to give it to them.
Yeah, no real dimensions, but just something
to scale.
Yeah, and just to make sure we're on the same page. And then we have like, quite a detailed scope of work that breaks down every trade that we're going to have and exactly what they're going to do, and how much we're allowing for different products so that we can go and select things with them after, and just gives them a really good picture of what the project's going to cost.
Do you, at that early stage, as well as the floor plans and the elevations, do you put together like a colour render as well, like a little schematic of what it looks like?
Yeah, so with the software that we use, it does generate a 3D render. So the team, most of the time will do it. I mean, it's a fairly basic 3D render, but it just allows you to visualize it a bit better.
It just gives you that extra edge.
Yeah.
So people who, I guess, can't visualize something on paper in plan view, they can see it in 3D.
Yeah. But I mean, also at the start of this year, we made a decision that a lot of clients were asking us specifically with kitchens that they wanted to see 3D renders, like proper 3D renders that are really detailed. And so I found someone that we teamed up with, and we just made a decision that every kitchen quote that we issue has an allowance included in it for a 3D render. So when we get to the end of the design as well, we actually send it off and they come back with like, it's perfect render. Like sometimes we put the after photo next to the render and we're just blown away how close it is. But also just before we're about to start the build, the client can see it. They get super excited. Occasionally they'll notice something, go, oh, should we tweak this as well? So that also happens down the track when we get to the end of the design stage.
It's also smart because you're doing that towards the end of the quote when the client's committed and you're almost there, almost have the client on board.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously your father would no doubt be a bit of a mentor as well, but is there anyone else that you sort of talk to when you're thinking about making sort of big commercial decisions or strategic directions with your business? Like how do you sort of crystal ball those decisions?
Look, I definitely, both my parents would be heavily involved in those decisions just because they've been so involved in the business and in the industry. I like to also, I suppose, bounce ideas off my wife as well and make sure that, she's on board with whatever I'm thinking. She probably tells me that I'm crazy half the time because I'm constantly thinking of something new and that I don't have time to do it. And yeah, look, there's a few guys that have been, I suppose, in the industry for a while, specifically like in the kitchen and bathroom space that I've been lucky enough to, they've been happy to give some time. Really, anyone that has any industry experience, I always jump on the opportunity to just talk to them and just absorb whatever I can and just try and, I guess, extract information that I can somehow put to use and think about.
Now, speaking of life outside of work, what does Illan like to do when you're not busy running your bathroom and kitchen company?
Yeah, look, so we've got a beautiful daughter, Isabel. She's about a year and a half old at the moment, and we're expecting another one in January. So I don't have a whole lot of extra time to do Illan type of stuff. I like to keep fit, and it keeps me a bit sane. So going to the gym is just something that I like to do. It's a time that I can just, my brain stops working for a bit. I noticed, like halfway through, I'm like, oh, I'm not actually thinking about work. It's probably the only time I think about work while I'm sleeping. And at least at the gym, I'm not thinking about it. So I like to do that. And just traveling. We love to travel and get away, work hard, but we always like to have a holiday booked in that we can look forward to. It's been a pretty crappy year in that regard, having to cancel a couple of great holidays.
Where were you planning on going to?
Well, for years and years, I wanted to go to the kitchen and bathroom fair in Milan, which is called Euro Cucina. And we were booked to go there in May and then go to Tuscany. And that was sort of exactly when the huge outbreaks happened in Italy. So that got cancelled pretty quickly. And then we would usually just do one nice big trip, but we thought we'll have another baby next year. Let's get two in. And we also were meant to go again to Europe, to Greece in August. And then that didn't happen. So
it's on hold for a little while.
Yeah.
What about getting onto site? Do you try and get onto site occasionally?
Yeah, look, I love going to site and just seeing the guys and seeing what they're doing. I mean, really in recent years, I guess I just had less and less time to leave here. Like I'd turn up here and sometimes I don't even leave my office at all. I'm just on the phone all day, so I don't have that time. But I do love to get out there, and we've got a pretty high standard that I expect our sites to look like in the way that they're run. And a lot of the time, if you're not going out there every so often, you kind of lose sight of where that's at, and just it's good for me to be able to get out there and then be able to have that discussion with the construction team about it.
It's important to have that fresh set of eyes too.
Yeah.
You would see all these quotes come in and clients coming in all the time. So to be able to get onto site and provide a fresh perspective is always a good thing.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about the GIA team or family, if you like?
Yeah. The GIA family is what I like to call them. In the office here, we've got six to seven people that come in pretty much every single day. We've got 3 interior designers. That's Alan, Olivia, and Kia. And then we've got James, who does operations management, which is just, he's on the phone all day long, scheduling and just moving trades and checking that people are getting to the sites that they need to do. He's just, he works hard to just reschedule everything.
That's a tough job.
Yeah. I mean, we're at full capacity. We're usually running, ideally up to 20 jobs at a time, smaller ones. And although they might be small, they've still got different people in every job. So he, one change and he's changing everyone.
Look, if anything, with renovating versus new construction, the actual time, effort, and process involved in renovating can be so much more complicated than new construction. So you get one trade that doesn't line up, or one job, or if you're impacted by some sort of delay, I'd imagine becomes chaos. It just throws everything out.
Yeah, exactly. And then we've still got our site supervisor, Sam, and Diane, who does all of our admin, and my dad, who comes in and out. And so that's the team. And then we've got a great bunch of trades that we've worked very hard over the years to just get this team together that are great. Like, we don't just get random guys to work on our jobs. It takes a while to build that trust. A lot of the guys are the guys that I used on that first reno in Elwood. It's been a long journey. But look, it's also a really important thing because we can trust them. A lot of those guys just know our system, and they actually don't even need, some of them, a huge amount of supervision. They just know what a GIA bathroom renovation looks like. And, obviously we're supervising it, but a lot of the time they'll call you up and go, the electrician's coming in tomorrow. I know he's not going to be happy with this. We need to fix this up. And they look out for us, and so they all work together to make sure it runs smoothly.
Do you have like a carpentry crew that goes along and say you're renovating? Now, just on that, how much of your work's, I suppose all of your work's renovating, isn't it?
Yeah, like we do a combination of a lot of bathrooms, kitchens, and then we always have like a few jobs on the go that are a whole home or an extension. We just finished one not too far from here, first floor extension, another one that's a rear extension where we just, so we do a few large ones at a time, but there's just always a lot of these smaller where it's just a bathroom or a kitchen.
I'm always keen to know how much of your work comes in through word of mouth recommendations versus sort of online marketing.
Every year we see that we get more and more referrals, which I guess makes sense. You do more jobs, and so you got more people to talk about you, and we care a lot about making sure that clients are happy at the end and leaving us a review and referring us. So we do get a lot of referrals, but a lot of the work, just because of the quantity that we do, is just from marketing, from online things, Instagram, just working hard to get new leads in so that we can keep on growing the business.
On that, do you have some sort of reporting system that you like to use and track all of this data?
Yeah. We've got a couple of agencies that work with us for our online marketing, and they've got dashboards set up that track certain metrics that I like to look over and check that, we're spending our money wisely. So, and then we've got our own in-house spreadsheet where we track every single lead. We're looking at it all the time just because it's really important for us when we're doing small jobs. We need a lot of them. So we have to stay on top of that. Like, we have to have constant work coming in. It's not like we win $1 million job and that's us for 6 months or something, we track everything, constantly looking at it. Like, for example, last year I reviewed it all and I realized, look, we're not really getting much out of the newspapers. Let's make a shift, and redirected funds to online, drop funds in the newspaper department, and you sort of have to track it to make sure you use your money the right way.
And just adapt and keep looking at the data and tracking it.
Exactly.
And I like what you just mentioned about the spreadsheet, because I love Excel and I love looking at data and stuff like that. So it's always good to compare the new technology types of marketing and tracking data. But if you have people that come in, it could be as simple as just finding out, you're going to know where they live anyway, but where do they come from? How did they come across GIA? Is it a bathroom? Is it a kitchen? So you can even go into that detail and say, well, isn't it funny how we're going through COVID at the moment, where we've now seen an increase in kitchens, and maybe that's because people are spending more time at home. They want a better entertainable kitchen. So yeah, it's really good that you use that data.
Yeah. Without it, you can't really make decisions. You're just guessing. So, you're not always right anyway, but it feels better making a decision off some sort of data rather than just going, feels like we're winning a few more jobs in that area. Let's put a bit more money there and see if it works,
You mentioned before about your systems and processes. So if I'm a subby and I'm listening to this and I'm a tiler and I want to be able to work with your clients, what sort of systems or what sort of things do I need to have to be up to your standards?
Look, I guess the first thing is we always look at things like quality of the workmanship, number one, and then just that they're presentable and their attitude. A lot of the time I say, like, everyone on our team is someone that I'd happily go and sit down and have a meal with and have a chat to. A lot of the renovations we're doing, clients live in the home, and so we want to make sure, like, the clients that we have, we build a good relationship with them, and they love our team. Like, they'll come in and say hi and offer them a coffee, and it's not someone that just comes in and, even if you do good work but you hate your job and you got a crappy attitude and you walk in there and you make that known, like, a client doesn't feel comfortable. They don't like that. Whereas if you walk in as a trade and you're smiling and you're happy and you genuinely want to be there, like, that rubs off on the client, and they think at the end, they're like, wow, like, that wasn't just an amazing experience. Like, the trades were great. Like, it was pleasant. That's what we want to get to at the end.
A pleasant experience, because like you said, the difference between if you're running a job that's a new house and the client's renting for 6 months while you carry out the big reno, they may not be there. Whereas if you're doing a kitchen or bathroom renovation, then like you said, there's that focus on client interaction.
They're in there every day, basically. They'll, you're not really, I suppose, meant to be walking into a construction site, but if you're just renovating a bathroom and you're living at home, no one can help just pop their head in once a day. Oh, they're excited the floor tiles are going in. So yeah, they're onto everything. They're seeing it all unfold. So that's half the task of just managing the client's expectations and making sure that they're comfortable in their home whilst we're in there doing the job.
Now, what about estimating? Because with your business, you're involved in so many variables, like ripping up floors and old pipes connecting to new pipes and things like that. So how do you use software, or do you use old school measuring techniques? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, look, we're probably pretty old school. I actually had a friend of mine help me many years ago create an Excel spreadsheet that was for bathrooms and kitchens and covered everything and anything that I wanted in there. And I still use it to this day. He probably doesn't even know. It's hilarious because it's pretty basic when I think about it. But we do a lot of bathrooms, and to some degree they are repetitive, and you just learn a lot about them. So it's just Excel. I know what I need to allow for every single trade. I can cost the jobs fairly accurately. And then coming back to what you said about the variables, we've just learned a lot of lessons over the years about what those variables are. And in our quotes, we don't try and hide anything. We've got a long list of, these items quite often do come up. If they do come up, this is probably what you're looking at. And, we can come into a house and look at it and go, look, you're probably going to be up for a new subfloor. Your floor looks like it's about to drop, or it's not a concern, or we look at the age of the house and go, look, it's likely that we're going to have to get some asbestos tested here and removed, and it's going to be an extra. But we flag all those items because we don't want to give people surprises. And
you need that transparency.
Yeah,
and that's what
I think clients appreciate, that they don't feel like there's any hidden costs and surprises. We're up front. We're just saying this is what you're up for if it does happen, but these are the ones that are likely and these are the ones that are not likely.
How do you define success now compared to when you sort of had the idea and talked to your dad about it and wanted to set this company up? How do you sort of define that now, looking back?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's to some degree it's changed, to some degree it's still the same. Back then I just wanted to really start a business, and I knew I wanted to grow it and be successful and have a business to run. And I was thinking about it, when I knew I was going to chat to you. I remember having these chats with my dad in the early days of the business, just going like, oh, I don't know if it's worth to keep doing it. Like, it's just going to do bathroom renos and we're doing one a month. And I'm like, I want to do something more, and it didn't feel like it. And I guess now we are a lot busier, but I still have big plans for growth, and I want to get busier, and I want to make it better. And, I always look to grow, but, having a kid and another one on the way and just seeing how different it is with time today, I guess a big thing for me is also to grow the business and actually have a balanced life, which is exceptionally difficult in this industry. So, I mean, that's probably more of a goal now. I didn't have that to consider back then when I started it.
Yeah, so your outlook's changed from being 100% focused on the business to being engaged with your life and your life, including your family business, but your private family as well.
Yeah.
What's your vision for GIA moving forward?
Look, we're about to open up a new showroom, which is going to be a big step. I'm hoping that that's going to open up some more doors in terms of just, getting more staff on board and growing the business a bit. I guess I'm always open to new ideas. On the one hand, I really like the fact that we're quite niche and people know that we know the renovation space so well. But at the same time, you can't help but want to have the opportunity to build a luxury home and, have another architect supply you plans and build that, which we do a little bit of, but not much of. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just continuing to grow at a pace where we can deliver on our clients' expectations and still, produce the product that we want to produce.
Is there anything with your business where you're seeing a bit of a shift towards people want certain finishes or certain aspects at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, with the bathrooms and kitchens, I guess they just go through trends, and we see those trends come in and out each year where they're evolving. Like at the moment we do a lot of bathrooms and they've got a lot of pattern tiles and colours, and people are a lot more willing to do something out there.
People are probably wanting a bit more home inspiration at the moment.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I did think, like you said earlier, with people being locked up in their homes, they'd probably reconsider, like, wow, if this happens again, like I really want to have a nice kitchen and a bathroom if I have to spend every day in here. So, yeah, but I guess we see trends come and go. We try and customize to what our clients want as well and give them something unique. I think clients see that on our photos, that we do come up with unique things and not just what everyone's doing. So I guess we follow the trend, but also try and, set some of the trend in a sense.
I've really enjoyed sitting down here in your showroom, and I encourage everyone to check it out. So seriously impressive. We've got bathrooms and kitchens, and this wall behind us full of kitchen cabinetry filled with awards. And your Instagram page is quite impressive too. So you obviously put a lot of time and effort into that. So come into the showroom, check out GIA Bathrooms and Kitchens. And once again, Illan, it's been really nice to talk to you and get to know you. So thank you for coming on the Build Hatch.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that was another Build Hatch episode with Illan from GIA Renovations. Illan's a top family man, and I encourage you to check out their website and Instagram pages. Or even better, drop into their impressive showroom in Melbourne, which is in Bentley. They are full of inspiring ideas and amazing images of kitchens and bathrooms. As usual, please check out our Instagram, where you'll be able to learn more about our guests and the features of the work that we talk about. Have a great week, and you'll hear me again on the airwaves next week. Thanks for listening to another episode of Build Hatch.
You have experienced a Build Hatch developed production.